Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie, and a new monster was spotted on the set of Doctor Who. Don't you just love it when they film outdoors? We don't know anything about him, but the fans that were on set that day said that they started calling him the Mole just because his hands looked like they were used for digging. But it does give us a good opportunity to talk about our top 10 favorite monsters that we want to see come back. I just love the way the pictures make it look like he's walking around interrupting people's picnics in Cardiff. In related news, I'm also working on a breakdown of the episode descriptions for Series 8 and a video for a special thing that's going on the Horror Channel in April. So I'll be doing two separate videos for that. I'm also working on a Q&A video, so be sure to subscribe to get all that stuff. I'll try to start posting it by this weekend, especially that Q&A video. So here we go. Here's the top 10 monsters that I'd like to see come back. Number 10, The Beast. Easily one of the biggest, if not scariest monsters. He claims to have been from before the normal universe existed, pre-universe. And something about the way they've been using the cracks makes me feel like ancient things, including the Time Lords, will be trying to use them to come back. Digital effects have evolved a lot since we last saw him during Series 2, but they did use him again during a comic book story where he escaped to Earth and tried to get revenge on the 10th Doctor. One of the few things that, really old monsters like this are good for, aside from killing people, is ancient knowledge. I'm really hoping the Doctor has a few good Sherlock-style mysteries to solve. Cluing for looks all over space and time just sounds like so much fun. On to number 9, the Ice Warriors. The last time we saw Grand Marshal Skaldak in Series 7, he was being rescued. We don't really know where they went, which means they're still at large. Even though the last time we saw him, he was having his Captain America de-thawed moment, it's possible that the Doctor could enlist his aid in a battle or two. Not all Doctor Who monsters have to be villains, despite evidence to the contrary. More pre-universe characters, onto number 8, the Great Intelligence. We never really got a definitive answer as to whether or not the Great Intelligence was really destroyed whenever it tried to enter the Doctor's time stream. Being so ancient and omniscient, I really find it hard to believe that it would be defeated so easily. Onto number 7, the Reapers. As much as the Doctor messes with the space-time continuum, I'm surprised they haven't come back sooner. The cracks are more of a tear in space than a tear in time, so those wouldn't necessarily bring them back, even though they do exist all over time and space, but it does seem like the Doctor crosses his own time stream at least once every series. There have to be repercussions for that, so obviously something has to bite the Doctor in the ass at some point. Why not a monster to literally bite him in the ass? And here's an oldie but a goodie. Number 6, the Pyroviles from Fires of Pompeii. How great would it be for the Doctor and Clara to revisit Pompeii in some way? Or at least visit somewhere that allows the Pyroviles to come back, just as a nice nod to Capaldi's other character from that episode. Plus, it would totally be a fun nod to Karen Gillan too. I don't expect her to cameo until the next anniversary special, but any reference to the original episode would also be a subtle reference to her character from before she was cast as Amy Pond. There's been a lot of rumors that Series 8 will pay some form of homage to Fires on Pompeii, but the only evidence I've seen is just the fan-made poster. And number 5, the Spiders, including a new great one. Originally seen in Planet of the Spiders, this just sounds like it would be fun like Martin Freeman had with the spiders of Mirkwood during The Hobbit. Those spiders were much bigger than the ones in Planet of the Spiders, but I just love the imagery they evoke, and the idea that, at least in the original story, a giant spider queen is trying to ascend to a higher state of existence. I think if they did make it back into a story, it would be, something much less cosmic. If Series 8 is supposed to have this horror-driven tone, then I think that spiders just building a large lair feeding on people would be enough. Like the Cybermen in Closing Time, just something a little more sinister and not something quite so grand. Number 4, the Old Ones. Something from Classic Who that was really big, but got a shout out during the Series 7 finale. They're another pre-universe monster, and are really more effective as an idea, like the Great Intelligence, acting through different physical bodies. In Classic Who, their biology was actually quite a bit different between members of their race, instead of like the Whispermen, that all look the same. But they actually had the power to fundamentally change the properties of the universe. I think of them as being like inspiration for the Q continuum in Star Trek, so whenever you think of them, imagine a more sinister version of John Delancey. And this is fun. Instead of Patrick Stewart, just imagine the 7th Doctor. And now, just to get a little bit more grand, number 3, the rest of the pre-universe creatures. I already mentioned the Beast and the Old Ones, but there are actually more things that existed before the creation of our universe, in the Doctor Who world that is. It's called the N universe. Whenever our universe was created and theirs was destroyed, some of them were able to pass into it, just travel into the new universe. Since the cracks exist all over time and space now, I'm expecting some of those other things, besides the Time Lords, to try and come in. That will always be a hanging threat until the Doctor undoes the damage from whenever the cracks were created. Remember, that happened when he rebooted the universe, and he's not gonna unreboot the universe, so it's a big problem. And number 2, starting to get a little bit more modern, the Matrix. That is the Time Lord's Matrix. Not really a monster, but much more relevant is an idea given the current state of our digital existence. The last big story featuring the Matrix was during the Ultimate Foe, which also featured the Valeyard. If you're not familiar, the Time Lords use the Matrix to store all their collected knowledge and predict the future. The Sixth Doctor was actually able to physically enter it using the Key of Rassilon, which is kind of funny and makes it seem like the Wachowskis totally ripped Doctor Who off, since that movie was made 13 years after Ultimate Foe. It's not really just a computer either, it's actually a micro-universe, kind of like the Pocket Universe where Gallifrey exists right now. I don't expect to see any more Time Lord stories though until the Doctor communicates with them again, or finds a safer way to restore them to the normal universe. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but I do think he's going to communicate with them before the end of Series 8. And my number 1 monster that I would love to see come back, the Valeyard, the Dark Doctor. He escaped during that episode Ultimate Foe, and while a lot of people think the Master is the Doctor's ultimate foe, I really think it's the Valeyard, since the Master is more of an anti-hero, sometimes crazy person, as opposed to the Valeyard, who I see as more of a black hat wearing villain. Who could be a greater enemy to you than your own self? So now it's your turn. Let me know, which monsters do you want to see come back from Classic Who or even the New Who stories? Moffat is also going to be creating some new monsters, as we've seen, so no matter what, Series 8 is going to be a ton of fun, at least if you like horror stories. So like I said, I'm going to be posting that Q&A video this weekend. Be sure to leave me all your questions, and then I have a breakdown of the episode details, as well as a special horror video. I'm going to be doing my top 10 scary Doctor Who episodes, from Classic Who that is, just Classic Who, because of that special horror marathon that's coming. So right now, click here to learn more about Series 8, and click here to get that Q&A video. I'll have the annotation as soon as I post it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. High fives.